unless they get their tickets punched by their friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Welcome to The Pull Bag. Join us as we dig out our latest comics and discuss them with the rotating panel of the GCRN crew. So sit back and enjoy this week's Pull Bag.
Hello and welcome to The Pull Bag. This is episode 37 and we're doing something a little bit different. I'm still trying to experiment on how to produce the show as far as whether we're going to do multiple segments in the show where multiple people come on and do different comic book reviews, or if we're going to stick to what we have been doing where, for example, JT, who is also here, hello.
Yup.
He and I come on and do 4 issues of Superior Spider-Man, or 3 issues, or whatever, or Steve and I come on and do 4 issues of the Bat books. So I'm still experimenting. This episode 37, is going to be an experiment. We are going to cover, last time, if people remember, in episode 34, JT and I covered issues 12 through 15 of the Superior Spider-Man. Well, at the time, because my thing with Superior Spider-Man is, oh crap, we have to wait until 4 issues are out, because I wasn't sure I could get in, 1 issue for an entire podcast episode. Now, I know my good friends over at the Underbase who do Transformers comic reviews, they get 1 issue in that lasts about an hour-long podcast. But I just wasn't sure with the way that our review style goes if we could do that. Now, what we're going to do here in episode 37 is JT and I are going to give our overall thoughts so far. So basically the story so far for Superior Spider-Man, what we thought of the run to the point of at the end of issue 15. And then we'll review 16. And then in the closing, we're going to give you previews for issues 17 through 19, which is the next arc. How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good today.
That's good. So yeah, we're still experimenting. We're still working on stuff as far as like how we're gonna get some of this stuff done. And honestly, folks, the only time I love doing this podcast, I love talking comic books now that I've started reading them full time. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love it. But with Superior Spider-Man in general, I was having a blast reading it and then recording. But with that system of having to wait for 4 issues to be out, I was like, by the time I got to read it, I'm like, oh great, I have to read this. Yay, it's a job that I don't get paid for.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that it doesn't feel natural that JT and I wait, 2 months to review 4 issues. So I'm thinking we're going to have to change it up, and I know I've said this, that we're going to go to trades. Maybe when it gets to, I don't know, we'll have to wait and see what this episode does. If we can do them singly, that, has anywhere between 30 minutes to 45 minutes time for a total of a podcast, maybe that'll work, so maybe we could just do them singly as they come out. If you all want to give us feedback, you can send it to feedback@geekcastradio.com. If you want to send me ideas directly, tfd1mike@gmail.com. Alright, so Superior Spider-Man so far, issues 1 through 15. What are your initial, how are you liking the series so far?
I'm loving it now. Initially, if you go back to listen to my complaints about the whole, Otto taking over Peter Parker's life in the first few episodes of the Superior Spider-Man, or the Superior Spider-Man episodes, I'm surprisingly, this has become one of the few comics that I actively get excited for, every other week when it comes out. When I go to the store and I get my comics every week, I organize them according to what I really don't want to read first, and the stuff that I can't wait to get to. And Spider-Man's almost always at the bottom of that pile. And it's just some of the stuff that they've done. I mean, initially it felt a little clunky. It's just, Otto being a dick and just living his life. And then they get to the part where, he's not a doctor, so he starts studying for his doctorate. And, he kind of has to go back to school. And obviously, if you've been reading the series, that has progressed somewhat in the background, but you haven't, aside from, him going to class for the first time and seeing his old classmate, the Schnoz, is now his teacher. And then in issue 15, where, he's, was it issue 15, I think it was? Or is it, what else we're going to talk about today?
No, I think it's 16.
Yeah, it's...
we'll get to it.
Yeah, it's just, there hasn't been a whole lot of looks at the background bit of, Peter or Otto going to school and all that, and I wish they would have explored that more. But I mean, by and large, I really like how they've, it's the little things. It's like Otto's basically being Otto, but everyone sees Peter Parker basically becoming like a mad scientist. I mean, he's got, he sits there cackling. He wears like the lab coat with the elbow-length black gloves. He talks to his manservant robot, who's a reprogrammed supervillain, basically. And
yeah,
and I think my other favorite thing outside of the story is the art. Like, you have like Ryan Stegman's more or less like the regular ongoing artist, but he switches out now and again with Humberto Ramos, who's a guy I've loved since the late 90s. The first series I ever saw him on was this vampire comic called Crimson, which, if you ever get a chance, I would recommend that to everybody because it is a very well done vampire story. But his, it used to be his art was like, is very blocky almost at first, but there was something about just, it's very angular. Like, it's not smooth. It's kind of rough, but it flows at the same time. And his work has only gotten better over the years. And currently the stuff he's been doing on Spider-Man, I think, is some of his best artwork that he's ever done. And I mean, just a quick, you looking at heads, some of the characters that are going to be coming up in Superior Spider-Man, that there's one character I haven't seen since like the late 90s, early aughts. And it's the fact that they're just kind of working with everything Spider-Man and trying to bring some element of that into the story at any given time. Just kind of mixed with everything. And there is some stuff that I haven't liked, like the new costume with the, kind of spider shield and black bodysuit. And, I realize, it's a supervillain and he's trying to be a superior Spider-Man, and hence the title. It's just, I don't really like that new suit design because it's a little too 90s for my tastes with he's got like the gauntlets and the techno boots and a little 6-legged bug backpack, which I mentioned in the last episode isn't an actual spider.
Yeah, if you add a little bit of blue in there and add a yellow cape, it'd be almost an unlimited costume.
Oh, Lord. You know what?
Now all he needs is camouflage.
Yeah. Well, we'll certainly talk about when we, kind of do a preview of the next couple issues that are coming out, and we'll get back to unlimited Spidey. Don't worry.
For me, overall, and I mentioned this before when Spada and I did that Geekcast radio special on the last 3 issues of Amazing. And I've said this over and over and over again. I feel like a broken record, but there's only so much you can do with the real Peter Parker. There's only so many times you can have him go up against the Scorpion or have him go up against Green Goblin or Hobgoblin or whatever else. So I was thoroughly, and I was like on board. I was like, I'm ready to take this train all the way down to Georgia. Let's just go ahead and go. Put Ock in Spidey's body. I don't care.
Yeah.
And I still enjoy that. I still find certain aspects of what he's doing a little creepy. Specifically his new quote-unquote relationship that he has, considering he's an old man and she looks like a 7-year-old. You know, I don't particularly like that relationship in the book, but the rest of it is just damn good, you know. And you're right, you know, it's one of those things where, like, say this comes out with Batman 66, Batman Beyond Universe, and whatever else, a bunch of other titles. This is probably the one that I'm going to leave for last, unless it's my regular DC titles like Batman and Batgirl and Nightwing. But yeah, no, I mean, reading Superior so far, these first 15 issues have been awesome. And as I've said before, I love how they're not just throwing the mainstay. I guess we can say Green Gobby is his pretty much main arch enemy. I mean, that's the way it's looking,
well,
at least.
Building towards it, at least, yeah.
Right, but I'm saying, like, Peter Parker, Spider-Man in general, if he didn't have his mind swap, who does he go up against most often? Is Norman Osborn Green Goblin. So I would say that Green Goblin, at least in my opinion, is his main arch enemy, just like the Joker is Batman's main arch enemy. And I love how they're not just throwing it at us. They're Dan Slott is teasing us with the story, and
which is one of the more maddening things. Like, I love a slow burn, but it's like, and I'm going to swear once, fuck it, I want goblin bombs. I want gas ghosts. I want gliders. I want maniacal laughter, and I'll get you, Spider-Man! Sorry, it's just, I love a slow burn, don't get me wrong, but I want this fight now, damn it.
No, see, now, that's where we differ, because a slow burn to me is what Breaking Bad did the first 3 seasons. By season 4, I'm like, yes, stuff is happening. Yes, cool, awesome. And here, I love it, because you have to find that fine line of not just being overly 90s and just throw villain, you can't just make them villain of the week.
Yeah.
You just, you can do that with those 2 tech kids or whatever the hell they were back in issue 11 and 12 or whatever the hell. The 2 kids, the ones I didn't care for. Prankster-like kids.
Oh, Screwball and Jester.
Yeah. You can do villain of the week with characters like that. But in this day and age where continuity means everything and everyone wants a damn fine story, you just can't throw Green Goblin right in the... Like, I like this whole Goblin King thing. I think that's great because... I swear, Marvel and DC are like a mirror image of each other, because as soon as I read, and we'll get into this with 16 here in a moment, but as soon as I read the whole Goblin King thing, I'm like, I seem to remember reading this. It was in Batman Beyond, where there was a Joker King in the Future Beyond series. I know this is different. I'm not saying it's the same. I'm just saying it's a similar motif kind of thing as far as using the term king. But overall, I'm loving Superior Spider-Man. I love it when I love when Ock is going up against the Avengers. I thought that was badass as all hell.
Twice.
Yeah, twice. And just the sheer, like, he's basically putting balls to the wall. He doesn't give a shit about a lot of stuff. I mean, look what happened in issue 15. He basically outs Phil Urich.
And not in the way everyone would be thinking about.
Well, not that there's anything wrong with that.
No. We don't judge at the Geekcast Radio Network.
I mean, he outs him as the Hobgoblin, not. Oh,
well, like I said, right. just the look of annoyance. Again, this goes to my love of Humberto Ramos's art. Sometimes it's just all kind of big googly eyes and slack-jawed mouths with him, which I love. But I love the he perfectly captured the what the fuckery look of a good son of a bitch. Like you see it in movies, you see it in TV, you read it in comic books. Like he perfectly captured, that son of a bitch moment in Phil's face in that last panel, and I was just, oh, it's gonna get good.
Yeah, it's like, bring it on right now, and we will after this.
Hello, pop culture connoisseurs. Do you gain a dark sense of peace when the guilty are punished by a violent vigilante? If so, maybe you should get some therapy, and then subscribe to Punisher Body Count, the net's best podcast concerning all things Frank Castle. I'm Dane Lamont. My co-host Jake Williams and I cover the good, the bad, and the hilarious on the Punisher comics, movies, and news. Do you like chummy co-host banter? We got that. You need to get your fucking
No, you
head
need to
checked,
fucking
man.
pay attention to the fucking movie.
You want kick-ass guest interviews? How about Mike Barron and Tom Jane?
No, I like a little bit of grit in my cigar.
You want carefully considered in-depth analysis?
I mean, yeah, just won Best Picture at the Oscars yesterday. I mean, it's no Terminator. But it was still,
Good luck with that. Punisher Body Count, twice a month on Geekcast Radio.
Alright, we are back, and Superior Spider-Man number 16, Run Goblin Run Part 2. The cover is a very creepy-looking hobgoblin with a flame sword stuck through his stomach.
Yeah, well, he's been run through by his own blade, basically. But I just love the stunned look at his face. It says, "I've made a mistake."
I don't like the look of this version of the Hobgoblin. It's a
slight update of like the classic costume, basically.
I'm used to, and I'm not saying this is a good or a bad thing, I'm used to the version that the Joker, Mark Hamill, played in the 90s as far as the facial features go.
Well,
and this is a more gothic, more dark version of that.
Well, yeah, the more gargoyle-esque. But yeah, I mean, the original Hobgoblin costume was basically a repaint variant of a Green Goblin suit that Robert Kingsley, who's the original Hobgoblin in the comics, he basically found one of Norman Osborn's stashes and repainted the costume. But yeah, no, that's like the classic one that a lot of people like. There's a horrible techno Hobgoblin costume that was used during the Clone Saga. The less said about that, the better.
You know, one of these days I'm going to make a lot of these Marvel fans, including you, come on this show and relive the Clone Saga just to see how bad it actually is. And yes, his brain just exploding, ladies and gentlemen.
Not really explode. It's more like melting out the side of my head. But it's like, oh dear God, no, go to my happy place, go to my happy place.
It will happen. This I command. But no, this goblin face on the Hobgoblin on the cover of issue 16, it reminds me of Old Man Donovan from The Last Crusade after he drank out of the wrong Holy Grail cup.
He chose poorly.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, no, I can. He's got that kind of desiccated look with the skin and all that. I mean, it's like, I like the cover. I mean, it's simple.
I like the cover. It's very, very awesome, and you don't expect, obviously who threw the sword, who ran him through, but I really enjoy the cover. I thought it was a cover that's going to grab you.
And I think this is like one of the first ones that there's no Spidey on the cover. It's noticeable for that too. So,
yeah, I think with this one, I want to see them do this more now. Before, in other Superior Spider-Man episodes here in the pullbag, I've said I enjoy the 4-issue spread at the beginning of recapping the story so far. No.
And how they're doing the Daily Bugle?
They need to do it the Daily Bugle from now on. This is freaking cool.
Yeah, I love the fact that, they got across the top. They kind of
they're
spotlighting some
basically
other.
homaging and spotlighting what's going on with other characters. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Inside, Daredevil spotted with Silver Surfer. Stark still in space. Carnage escapes prison. Dun dun dun.
Yeah, and I like the on the bottom there they got inside an oral history of the original Hobgoblin, Roderick Kingsley. I was like, that might actually be interesting. I got to subscribe to this paper.
I know. One thing that bugs me about this paper though is J. Jonah Jameson is not okay. Well, he's technically not in charge of the Bugle anymore. Robbie Robertson is, but you would think that JJ still has some pull. There's no way in hell in this day and age that the Daily Bugle would be $1 in New York City and $1.50 outside New York City. There's no way. I don't know.
Maybe this is the digital version we're looking at.
Nah.
But yeah, no, that's just kind of a throwback to.
No. Yeah, I know. I got that. It was just one of my musings here.
Yeah, and then we have Spider-Man declares Goblin season, Webbit season. No, Goblin season. Fire! You know, I like that. Like, yeah, the blurb recap of the last issue, and it's not like JJ can really, Jonah can't really bitch about Spider-Man taking over every computer screen in the city, because then it's like, you asked me to kill a guy, you know. He's still got the blackmail hanging over Jonah's head. So, but yeah, no, I like this style of recap. The 4-page thing, you know, and I'll mention something about that at the end of the show there, quick. But yeah, I like the recap, and the next page after just that full-page spread of you kind of get this interior shot of the Daily Bugle offices, where Robbie basically threatens to fire anyone that. He's like, first person to post, tweet, make a status update is fired.
Yeah.
And then it's like, Mr. Robertson, he's like, I repeat, fired. And just the way that Humberto Ramos draws this pissed off look on Robbie's face, you know, and it's basically the aftermath of, like, there are newspapers, so they're sitting on this, but, you know, they still haven't confirmed whether or not he's the Hobgoblin. You got Spidey doing his, you know, it is your civic duty. Call Spider-Man at 1-800-555-I-SPY.
Yeah. And I love on that opposite page of the Where's Waldo Daily Bugle bullpen.
Yeah.
That very vaguely on that bottom right panel, you have an iMac and an iPhone.
Very much so, yeah.
It's so obvious. Well, I mean, just even if there wasn't a little black circle with a little white circle on the computer, just that design, and the same thing with the phone that's in the guy's hand. The design is so, like, I like that. I think that's cool. I think it'd be great, and maybe Marvel would get some money out of it if they actually got license approval to use Apple products in their. I mean, Apple puts their products in
every possible
freaking Law and Order Special Victims Unit. They can put them in a comic book.
Well, it might be an Android. Who knows?
No Android has the home button on the bottom like that with just a screen.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's like you said. I love that. I didn't think about that. That is a pretty good. Where's Waldo?
It is. It's like, where? Hey, wait. Maybe this is a pre-recorded message. Where's Peter Parker? Is he in the crowd?
Yeah,
that would be funny.
But moving on, I guess.
Yes, moving on. So Ben Urich, who looks younger than I thought he'd be.
Yeah, that's the one thing about Ramos's art. Is I don't think it's a conscious effort, but he does tend to de-age a lot of characters.
I mean, I don't expect Ben Urich in this universe to look just like Joey Pantoliano, but somewhat similar, please.
Yeah.
Since that's the only time I've ever seen Urich in media is when Joey Pants played him in Daredevil.
Yeah.
And he just, like, Urich in this, I can tell you right now, I understand where he's coming from. Oh my God, that's my nephew. Oh my God. He couldn't have done. I understand that he's defending his family, and that's all well and good. I just don't like he looks like a sniveling teenager.
Yeah.
He really, really does. Um,
I do like the one thing about Otto being Spider-Man now is how he hawks the great power, great responsibility line, and just how he's sitting there, like he gives this sob story is like, it's the way it's executed in the script of this I let this thief ran past me and he took the life of someone I love and that's why I do what I do. It's like that's one of the best things about Spider-Man, but Otto isn't Spider-Man, and it's such a douchey. I think it's almost poor taste in a way for him to just keep Holly's like, I'm the responsible one. Help me exercise your response. It's like, shut up.
Right, but you have to think about it though. He needs to keep up appearances because
that's I know that's the thing. It's like he's doing this to keep up appearances. I mean, aside from the sense that he wants to, he feels he has the responsibility to be a superior Spider-Man. He doesn't actually believe in the whole great power, great responsibility.
Right, but he may not believe it, but he needs the whole of New York and the world to believe that he believes it.
Yeah.
So, that's a lot of believing right there. And the next page is Spin Like Spidey. Oh, I'm sorry, that's an ad.
Yeah.
And I still hate that Marvel doesn't number their pages.
Yeah. It's always next page, next page.
Yep. All right, so after the ad break, we have a really cool shot of Night Spidey, or Spider-Wing, or...
Yes.
Are we even sure this is Otto Octavius? I'm betting it's Dick Grayson.
Well, given what happened at the end of Age of Ultron and Galactus showing up in the Ultimate Universe and dimensional walls crashing down around our heads, it's entirely possible.
Yeah, I mean, I like this black suit for the fact that he's actually wearing boots, not webbed foot looking things.
His webbed booties.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, this panel where he's hi, like Tommy Oliver high kicking.
Oh God, yes.
In the air. His boot looks like it has what are those stupid roller things called? Oh God, those roller
yeah,
those
the
roller
one,
shoes.
Yeah, the half a rollerblade basically.
Yeah, that's what that looks like. I mean, I like how the suit looks. It reminds me too much of my favorite DC character suit, which is Nightwing. And even so, on the next page, when you see him inside the window,
that looks anatomically, not only anatomically incorrect, but anatomically uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's a tiny window.
I don't care how flexible Spider-Man is. That's got to be straining a certain part of the male anatomy. And how he's coming down and how Phil's like, you see the art, Phil's starting to lose it. And
yeah, you might want to get your friend some help. He has some strange obsession with superhero sex organs.
I am the Brody of the show. No. But
you wish.
No, we'll put that to a test someday, Mike. But I love Spider-Man comes in, and I love the fact that with the situation being what it is, Robbie steps up and is like, I think you've done enough.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man, again, Otto is like, what? How dare you? I'm the good guy here. And then Robbie's like, no, you're the lunatic. And basically, this is our... And I hope this is something they develop, that Robbie becomes the J. Jonah to Otto's Spider-Man.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's like
we still have Mayor Jameson, but let's face it, he can't be in every issue.
Oh, no. And I hope he's not in every issue, because then that would just be a boring political comic book. What I love about Robbie as the guy in charge or editor-in-chief or president or whatever the hell of Daily Bugle, he's not just Robbie defending Spidey anymore. He's basically getting in his face. The difference is you're right. I think he is going to become the JJJ for Spidey. The difference is Robbie doesn't have the ego that Jonah does.
Yeah, he doesn't have that psychological, you know, jumping off point, whatever. But yeah, it's just Robbie. You know, he might be coming down more on Otto, but he'll definitely be, you know, fair and balanced. You know, he'll make sure he's got the proper evidence first, because like he says here, you know, this boy might still be innocent. Where's your proof? And then Otto is like, unbelievable. The Daily Bugle is asking me to prove someone's a menace. Do you see the irony here?
Yeah.
You know, that, and he brings back the spider talons and the nano tracers.
Yeah.
And I love the way in that, where he's got the hand up to Robbie's face like he's about to backhand him. And he's like, can you guess where the signal's coming from now? And then Phil just breaks down and goes full on Joker, more or less.
Yeah.
And
then,
that's the one thing.
Okay.
Sorry, it's the one thing I've loved about the Phil Urich Hobgoblin. Whereas, you know, and even Norman Osborn was never like the cackling, you know, joke making sort of villain, and neither was Roderick Kingsley or any of the guys who have been the Hobgoblin. Phil, like I said before, he is the anti-Spidey.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I like that where he finally cracks and he's like, "Hey, visual aid," and pops out his plasma sword and holds Nora, you know, by the throat. And you see how Humberto Ramos goes from like you can almost see like a physical transformation in Phil's face. How he's got like just like the grit, the set jaw and everything, and now he looks definitely like a villain. Whereas earlier in the issue, he just kind of looked like a dude. So
yeah. What I love about this is this whole scene reminds me of New Batman Adventures episode Old Wounds.
Oh yeah.
What? You should be Sidewalk Stroganoff. I changed the menu. It's Urich is the Joker. Oxspidey is Robin, Nightwing, whatever the hell. That whole exchange where visual aid, it's something that the Joker would have said.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if I doubt Dan Slott was writing it like that or even thought of that, and I'm probably, you know, grasping at straws here, but I thought that was a great line.
Yeah. And the one thing I did love about this issue, and it's kind of a minor note, is the whole 24-hour news cycle thing that we get on the next page, and then kind of continues through the rest of the issue of all these people. It's like there is no original story reported. You're just basically reporting what everyone else has reported.
Well, that's and that's what I like about it. While the Bugle is still, you know, the reason why the Bugle is holding on to this is because it's one of their, you know, it's one of their own.
Well, yeah, no,
you know, so I like that the newspaper is holding on to it. Whereas in this day and age, if we're to believe that Superior Spider-Man universe, you know, happens in the 21st century, I would assume at least 2012, 2013, that all these news channels, I mean, you know, think of it as Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, whatever other stupid thing people use nowadays, Instagram, you know, just think of it that way. It's social media on television is what it is.
Yeah.
Is what they're showing us. And I thought that was great. All the different approaches, and then you got Tiberius Stone just cackling over there.
Yeah, and again, this is just one pissed off nerd. So,
Yep.
But you know, like we got the news cycle. We catch up with the Wraith and Carly interrogating one of Otto's spider goons, and like I said before, is they're basically pulling an Untouchables, and they're following the money.
Yeah.
To see how Otto's paying for all the spider mechs and the men, and I love the reference, you know, how Carly used to date Peter. Is like, I know Spider-Man. He can barely balance a checkbook, let alone a secret trust.
Yeah.
You know, I love that. And when you get back to the Bugle, you know, it's a fairly standard escape for Phil. I mean, Nora decks him. Spider-Man tries to, you know, run through the rushing mob, And then Phil brings out the one superpower, and it's basically the only holdover from the Green Goblin series that he started in the 90s, is that he has this sonic scream, it's like the creepers laugh in DC that, it just
It's basically the canary cry, but it's a hobgoblin scream.
Yeah, it's just this maniacal laugh that just screws with everybody. And then you see that maybe Phil isn't as far gone as he's been portrayed, because, his Uncle Ben, and I love that reference again. He is...
Oh, I know. I nearly died, because I didn't put two and two together until I'm like, oh, wait. Oh, no, they didn't. Oh, my God. That's so cool.
I'd love to ask Dan Slott, if I ever got to meet him, if, you took the fact that Phil has an Uncle Ben, is that something that steered him towards making Phil, this anti-Peter Parker like this? Yeah. The evil Peter. And then, Otto's, apparently the nanotracers are also highly compacted explosives.
Oh boy. And I gotta go back for a second here, though, because this doesn't happen to me with any other book except this one. And it's the way Marvel lays their books out. I really, really hate it. On the page where we get Gobby going, or we get Phil going all Joker-like.
Yeah.
On the opposite page, on the next page, there's an ad for Avengers Assemble merchandise or whatever.
Yeah.
We then get 3 pages. We get the page of the news, we get the page of the Wraith, and then we get the next page with Carly. 3 pages, another ad for some mini-looking Avengers things, and instead of more story on the back of that page, it's another ad. I know people are probably tired of hearing me say this about these books, but specifically to Marvel, and I know it's Marvel, I know they're now owned by Disney, who is owned by ABC, who is owned by whatever, I get it, but Jesus Christ, even DC doesn't have, and I get Marvel is, because they're now a part of Disney, they want to market the ads towards kids, whereas all of these ad pages in a DC book would probably have been Green Lantern 22 coming out, or Green Lantern, it would be stuff for their own stuff. Maybe one ad would have been, for some IFC, Bang Goes the Theory, whatever else. And then you get one page of story, and then another.
Deep breath, Mike. Deep breath.
I'd rather just go through the Clone Saga than read another one of these books, honestly, at this point.
Oh, don't talk dirty, Mike. Wash your mouth out with soap, sir.
Yeah. So we get the mini explosions to catch up to the story here. We get these mini nanobot explosions.
And we do get an auto quip. I'd like to point that out. Where he goes, show's over, York. In fact, I'd say you bombed.
Yeah.
And you almost hear that wah, wah.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah. And I love how he's, as a villain, he's like, oh, spare me, child. The micro-explosives serve more to shock than harm. It's just how he's got to spell everything out. And he NFL tackles Phil out the window, and you see Phil just kind of, that look on his face where he realizes it's all over.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just a very, again, you go back to the news cycle, we can't check in with the Green Goblin and Menace, who was one of my favorite original villains in Brand New Day.
Wait, people liked something about Brand New Day?
Well, yeah, I mean, Menace was Lily Hollister, who's Harry Osborn's girlfriend, and she found one of Norman's, again, there must be like a million of these freaking caches in New York. She found a goblin cache, shattered some vials that contain goblin juice, and she physically mutates into this, horned form. And then she tried to, help her father, who was running for mayor, and, well, it all kind of went sideways, and, now she's serving under the Goblin King. So, it's kind of cool that they brought her back, because, one of these days we might have to do an episode of favorites, just talk about our favorite spider villains or something like that, but see what happens. But yeah, they bring Menace back. She's going to collect, Hobby.
Yeah.
And I do like just that final where Spider-Man picks up the plasma sword and he is like literally 2 inches away from slicing Phil's head off. He's like, well, I killed someone before. Let's do it again. And all of a sudden, Captain America to the rescue.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, Spider-Man, what's going on? I'm kind of in the middle of something. Same with us. Lava Men in Borneo. Well, I got the Hobgoblin in Manhattan. We heard, and you're using an army and giant robots again? Aren't you on probation? And again, I can't wait till they have I think it's just going to be full on Spider-Man versus Cap at some point. Just where he finally is like, whoa, shut up, old man.
Yeah.
It could happen.
But I like the fact in this issue that the cover, as cool as it looks, is basically a lie.
Well, but we'll come back to that when we get to the end of the book.
No, I know, but I'm saying, at that, you would think, with all that Spider-Ock has done to this point, killing, massacre, doing all this other stuff, you would think, hey, Plasma Sword, hey, this kid needs to die. You'd think he would have done it right then and there, but he doesn't. So, well, I thought that was great that he didn't do it.
Well, yeah, no, but and it's it's kind of the opposite end of the spectrum from when he took out Massacre, because he didn't have 1 million cameras and 1 million people watching him, because they even have that issue later on of Captain Watanabe, the Wraith, interviewing these officers who were basically adopting the thin blue line of silence. I wasn't looking. I was eating a donut,
Yeah, really, yeah.
Something like that. And again, I love Ramos's art when you see that final look of Phil on the bottom, and he just looks like 100 years old, and life has just beat him up.
Yeah.
And it goes to the next page where the aftermath, and Robbie fires. He tells Phil to take a break, and he fires Nora. And that's really, it's kind of a little heartbreaking the way he draws how Nora all sad and she's back to community events, and Robbie's like, no, you're out the door, kid. Sorry. It's kind of sad, and I hope they bring her back in some just going. I hope she joins Carly and the Wraith and the hunt for Spider-Man, because she's might even become as much as Robbie could become Jonah to the Superior Spider-Man. She definitely could become Jonah. He's a menace. He ruins lives. So I mean, we'll see what happens as the series continues.
Yeah.
And then you got, Phil's on his way to jail, and Menace, pops the truck like a can of sardines, and he takes him to the Goblin King.
Yep, and he's no longer the Hobgoblin, he becomes the Goblin Knight.
Yeah, and I did, that last page, you see him doing it's like the comic book version of suiting up in an action movie. Mm-hmm. He's strapping everything on, and he's like, what will you offer? It's like, I will give you the spider. And, I like how it's kind of a Hobgoblin costume, but it's more
green.
It's more armored, and he actually looks more of a threat. He's bulkier now, so.
Exactly, yeah. He doesn't look like a dead corpse who drank the wrong Holy Grail. And then the final page is next, Superior Spider-Man number 17. Also, Superior Carnage number 2. Superior Foes of Spider-Man number 2. Superior Spider-Man Team Up number 2. Scarlet Spider number 20. Marvel, get your numbering right. Venom 38. And Morbius number 8. As I've said before, JT and I will do one episode on the Superior Carnage 5-issue miniseries, so that'll be, depending on when that 5th issue comes out, it'll probably be sometime next year, when we actually get to it. But overall, as a final thought for me, I absolutely loved issue 15 and 16. I know I mentioned, we talked about issue 15 back in episode 34, but overall as a two-part story, because I actually went back after we recorded that episode and I read these back to back. It was a damn good two-part story.
Oh yeah, it's like I said, in 34 there, like these two issues are so money. Like, this is probably my favorite story so far in Superior Spider-Man.
Yeah,
because it's
I would say so. Yeah,
it's got like that. If you look at the 3-act structure of a story, it's got that definitive beginning, middle, end. You got hints for the future. You see certain relationships are irrevocably altered. Stuff like that, and it's just a good story. It's just a fun superhero comic book story. It's hero versus villain. Villain revealed, all that, and it was just a lot of fun. And when you look on this preview page for the next issue, you see Spider-Man 2099, and again,
yes,
speaking about Ultimate Spider-Man, I remember reading an interview with one of the producers, and this is years and years ago, so I might be misquoting. The suit in Ultimate Spidey, like, as far as designs go, it was somewhat inspired by the costume of Spider-Man 2099.
You mean Spidey Unlimited, not
Spidey Unlimited? Yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay.
Spidey Unlimited, and you can see it there because you get the web cape, you get the solid, red on blue instead of. Well, I mean, it's still Spider-Man's costume is red on blue, but I mean, you look at Spider-Man Unlimited and Spidey 2099, and there are some similarities. And I always thought it was kind of cool. He's got like this weird web cape, and that design in Spider-Man 2099 was kind of a shout out to how Steve Ditko used to write, like, back in the early days of Spidey, and even in the 80s and 90s, how he had like the for some reason he had the costume with the webbed armpits. I have no idea. Like he could glide on that or something. I don't know. But I'm definitely looking forward to this next 3-issue arc because, you and me were looking at the covers for the next 3 issues. Like, you got the first one where they're hiding on this, like, techno gargoyle, with the Tron lines on 17. Then you have, like, the mono-a-mono scrap on Spider-Man 18. And it's just, like, Spider-Man versus Spider-Man in a solid white background, which, again, how you were talking last issue about the black suit and him, he wants to be stealthy in the night.
Yeah.
It's just, something where you get that stark contrast I really like. And you look at 19 with, the explosion of, like, energy discs and Spider-Man are basically getting turned into, like, Swiss cheese it's just like they're unraveling at the seams, basically. And it's all building towards stuff because, I mean, like I said, like, we got to do at some point in the future, and it'll be probably Lord knows how long from now. Once you ever get experienced in the ways of, like, alternate comic universes, we need to talk about, like, our favorite alternate realities in comics, because the Marvel 2099 universe was as stupid as some of the stories were that came out of that. And it was such a child of the whole 90s obsession of, like, cyberspace and hackers and Blade Runner is the future and that sort of thing. The Marvel 2099 universe was a lot of fun overall. So
yeah. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back to read you some solicits for the upcoming Spider-Man comics. We'll be back after this.
So let's say you're looking for a podcast of your favorite 80s comic books, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Ninja Turtles, He-Man, etc. Where are you going to go to find us?
Welcome to Star Joe's Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan.
And I'm Chuck. That's right, everybody. We're the Star Joes. We host a podcast called Star Joe's Podcast, where we talk about your favorite comic books, your favorite toys of all the 80s properties.
Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Mask, Thundercats, Voltron, you name it, we cover it. If it's in the 80s, we'll cover it at some point.
Yes, so what you want to do to find us, you can go to iTunes, you can go to www.starjoes.com.
And remember, the Force will be with you.
Because knowing us is half the battle.
We are back here in the pull bag, and we are going to read you some solicits for upcoming Superior Spider-Man issues. For number 17, which, according to Marvel.com, was already released as of this recording, September 4th, 2013, he's back because you loudly demanded it. The return of Spidey 2099, and an Osborn you have not seen in a while. I'm assuming that's Harry, as I have not, as of this recording, read that issue.
Yeah.
Superior Spider-Man number 18, released September 18th, 2013. Superior Spider-Man versus Spider-Man 2099. Who will be the most superior spider in the multiverse? Plus, secrets uncovered in time.
Bum, bum, bum.
Exactly, yeah. Alright, so this is Necessary Evil Part 3 for Superior Spider-Man 19.
Yeah.
Wow. The moment that changes the world of Spider-Man and the Marvel Universe for years to come. Which Spider-Man is responsible for such a thing? Spider-Man 29 or the Superior Spider-Man? Major developments for both Spider-Man's cast and for the future. We also have what I'm really looking forward to.
You are obsessed, my friend.
Shut up, she's hot. You can't deny that. Releasing October 23rd, Superior Spider-Man number 20. From the fallout of Necessary Evil comes new beginnings and new twists that will be felt in the pages of Spider-Man for years to come. Superior Spider-Man number 20 is where it all starts. Do not miss this one. It's the first ever adventure for the Superior Spider-Man and the Black Cat, Felicia Hardy. Always cared for the spider in more than just the man, but what happens when that man is Otto Octavius? Plus, a day Otto has been waiting for is finally here. It's the world ready for Dr. Peter Parker and what he plans to do next. Dun dun dun.
Yeah, that...
Just that cover alone has got me sold on that issue.
There's not a problem with that.
No. And then Superior Spider-Man number 21, releasing November 6th, 2013. Stunner is back and wants revenge for the only man she ever loved, Otto Octavius. How will she avenge him? By killing the Superior Spider-Man. Maybe somebody needs to send that chick a memo.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I mentioned this early in the episode. Stunner was a supervillain that came out in I think it was either just before or just after the beginning of the Clone Saga. And it's basically, she is this overweight chick who worked for the female Dr. Octopus. And again, we'll talk about that another time. Who basically got strapped into the same sort of technology from Avatar and the Surrogates, and got turned into this kind of She-Hulk-esque, statuesque Amazon body through virtual reality technology. And eventually she met and fell in love with Dr. Octopus and became his superpowered Maul. So, and yeah, I love the irony of she's gonna kill Spider-Man for killing the only man she ever loved. And he's like, wait, car to the face, So that's definitely going to be an interesting issue, and I mean, that's going to be, that one's going to be money too. I'm almost going to guarantee it. So,
yeah. Oh man, yeah. I'm just, ugh. You know what, Spidey? Don't get me wrong. It's because I don't have a lot of comic knowledge for the alternate universe Spideys, other than what happened in
the end of the 90s series.
Yeah. So it's not that I don't have appreciation for Spidey 2099 at all. I think that's a cool thing that they did. I think that's an interesting way to go with a different version of the character. But yeah, issue 20 can't get here fast enough. I'm going to really enjoy issue 17 through 19, but issue 20, Yeah, that's going to be thoroughly enjoyed. All right, so before I have to go clean myself off, any other final thoughts before we close this out?
Like I said, this was probably one of my favorite two-parters so far in the series. It's just an overall great comic book story, and again, I want more Goblin now. That's just my way. I want it now. I don't want to wait. I want it now. So.
All right. So, where can people find you online if they want to interact with you, sir?
Just basically on Twitter mostly. I mean, at JT from Saskatoon, and I'm sure I've got it linked in there to my Facebook. And you'll find me here, there, and everywhere on some episodes of stuff from the Geekcast. But mostly the pull bag lately.
Yeah, pretty much, mostly. All right, so that's going to do it for issue 37, episode 37, holy crap, of the pull bag. Originally, this episode was going to be all about Clerks comics, but I couldn't get them in time. Maybe when we get to 137 or 237, if the show lasts that long. So, for the pull bag, I am TFG and Mike with
JT from Saskatoon.
Make your great escape into comics, and we will see you soon.
You just heard the latest episode of The Pull Bag, GCRN's comic book review podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate our show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you were leaving the message for and your name. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. You can send us an email, feedback@geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter @GeekCastRadio. So until next time, unleash the geek in you.